The rivalry is back. We have the world champion Domraju Gukesh taking on the Uzbek number 2 player. For many years was number 1, but now is number 2, Nodirbek Abdusattorov. And he's number 2 right now because Javokhir Sindarov, who's going to be the challenger for Gukesh later this year, has played some incredible chess in the last few months. But Nodirbek himself in tremendous form. 2766 is his elo. Gukesh is right now on 2717. This is going to be one of the most exciting clashes in the 4th round of the Quantbox Chennai Grandmasters. And this, dear friends, is the Neuro game of the day. In chess and in life, lack of attention and focus costs you games and key moments. Instead of going for that third cup of coffee or that energy drink that overstimulates you or gives you jitters, try Neurogum. It's viral in the US. It has a clinically proven blend of natural caffeine that gives alertness and L-theanine that gives you calm and stable focus without the jitters or the crash. Try Neurogum. Link is in the description. Nodirbek opens the game with pawn to d4 and Gukesh responds back with knight to f6. We have pawn to c4. And let's see what Gukesh plays here. He goes e6. That's always how Gukesh likes to play his openings against pawn to d4. He likes to get his pawn to e6, then the other pawn to d5, go for the queen's gambit declined setup. And that's what he has done. Nodirbek brings his knight to c3. And one of Gukesh's favorite moves here is bishop b4, going for the Ragozin. And he plays it. He plays the Ragozin unafraid that Nodirbek would have definitely prepared against it. Nodirbek goes for the check. Now this is a very strategic move because you attack the bishop. You force the black knight to come to c6 where it's slightly misplaced. And then you play your pawn to e3, open up the bishop and say to black that this knight isn't well placed. But Gukesh is quickly developing. He gets his king castled. The queen comes back to c2. And now the main move here is rook e8. There's also d takes c4. These two moves are played often. Rook e8 by far the main move. But Gukesh goes for b6. Interesting move. Maybe something that Nodirbek might not have prepared, but not really. He was prepared. He is prepared. Bishop d2 on the board. And now bishop e7 quickly played here by Gukesh. I think he's going for knight b4 ideas to push his pawn to c5. So Nodirbek stops it with pawn to a3. No more knight b4 coming in. But Gukesh says, now my knight attacks the c4 pawn and also the b3 square weakness here. So pawn takes pawn and pawn takes pawn taken back. Okay, black would love to play pawn to c5 next to get some space in the center. But Nodirbek is like, sorry, you have to move your knight away. And knight b7 makes sense because you are preparing the knight to come to these squares. Also, c5 is the break that you are looking for. The knight jumps in, looks at the c6 square. And now c5 move played here. You break the center with pawn to c5. Pawn takes pawn. Pawn takes pawn taken. And now if you take here, then after bishop c5 black should be fine. So Nodirbek finishes his development with bishop e2 wanting to castle. However, this gives Gukesh a very good opportunity to push pawn to c4. Now you might be wondering, can white go knight c6 and try to get the bishop? He can, but the thing is, this is a good position for black. So bishop f3 played. Now looking at the d5 pawn. And a very good move for Gukesh now is knight to a5. And he plays it. Not only is he stopping knight c6 ideas, but he's also looking at the b3 square to get his knight in. Okay, white castles here, and now an important move is bishop e6. Because if you jump in with knight here, then knight c6 and knight d5 is hanging. So first bishop e6, defend this, get your rook to c8. And Nodirbek is not one to keep waiting. He breaks in the center and he tries to get back some space advantage on the board. But Gukesh rightly brings his rook behind this pawn. If you take here, I'll take back with the knight. So pawn takes pawn. And now you take back, knight takes d5. Takes. And it already feels like black's position is so nice. He goes rook a e1. And this is where Gukesh is already starting to take over. Knight b3. He plays that move. He's better here. He's attacking the pawn on d4. Also the bishop here. Knight takes, knight taken. Okay, you have to take with the bishop now. There's no time to take on d4. e7 is hanging with a check. So bishop d5 taken here. And now bishop to c3. Defending the pawn on d4. Okay, the a3 pawn is hanging and you can actually take it. But Gukesh decides to play a5. And I'm a bit surprised with this move, this decision, where actually Gukesh could have taken here but decided against it. Pawn to a4 played. But this gives the b4 square and now bishop b4. Once again, I prefer black's position. The knight is well positioned looking at these squares. The pawn is a passer here. Bishop on d5 is well positioned. The only thing is that Nodirbek Abdusattorov is a very tough person to crack, Rook e8. A good move here. Gukesh has all his pieces in the game. Nodirbek also a bit low on time. He has only 19 minutes. Remember, there's no second time control. Attacks the rook. Rook c7 can be played keeping the tension, but Gukesh goes back. Bishop e6. And now bishop takes on e6. You take back with the rook. And if Gukesh can get queen d5, once again he's in control. And so Nodirbek, boom, look at the way he pushed his d pawn with all the confidence. He's giving up that pawn. It's a pawn sacrifice. Gukesh takes the pawn. But the idea is to get rook d1 and attack the queen. And now you can see the knight is very nicely placed. The queen is here. The rook can swing over. The bishop is active. Queen c5. Gukesh is a pawn up. And there's no easy way to get back the pawn. Queen f5 attacking the f7 pawn. He goes back rook e7, 13 minutes for Gukesh. But look at this, the rook is a bit loose. And now bishop takes b4, pawn takes b4. Is black completely winning with these two pawns? There's an insane move here that Nodirbek has. Can you find it before he makes it? Boom, knight c6. What a move. If you take the queen, I have knight e7 check, winning back the queen. And so Gukesh goes back rook e8. I mean, that was one move. There was also rook e c7. But now queen d7 he plays. He could have taken the queen and taken the pawn here. But Nodirbek maybe wants a bit more. Queen f8. Defending the rook. And now rook takes rook taken. Gukesh takes back. Rook takes rook. And knight takes b4. You can't take the knight because e8 rook is hanging. And so white has won back the pawn. But Gukesh says, my pawn is strong. It's moving ahead. The only problem is that the knight comes back to c2, blocks the pawn. g6, doing away with the back rank weakness. 6 minutes for Gukesh, 5 for Nodirbek. They're still playing as if, there's a big fight here. h4 and Gukesh goes h5, stopping the h-pawn. a5 played by Nodirbek. He wants to get rid of this knight which is on b3. So knight takes a5 and now queen comes back to d5. You can see that the knight has run out of squares to go to. So the rook has to come to a8. And now rook a1. There's a pin here, but Gukesh has a nice little move here to solve all his problems. Queen b8. So if you take here, I simply take and give queen b1 check and pick up the knight with a winning position. So queen f3 played by Nodirbek. And Gukesh, well, he can no longer defend the c3 pawn. It's going to fall here. So rook takes rook, queen takes, and now queen takes c3 is hanging. The position is equal. Gukesh offers a draw. Nodirbek accepts it. A great fight between both these players. I must say that Gukesh really played a good game of chess today. Meanwhile, Nodirbek, well, he was under pressure, but he found this very nice pawn sacrifice. d5, activated his pieces, and then that stunning move, knight c6. I think that's a move that you must look at once again. Knight to c6 here. What a move this is. You can't take with the queen here. The rook is hanging. You can't take here. You can't take here because of back rank problems. Wow, what a move by Nodirbek. And well, he gets a draw. He goes back to his room. And well, Gukesh here, he is someone who took out some time to come and meet the fans in the fan zone. Being a Sunday, a lot of people came in. Look at the amount of people. That's also the commentary zone. And if you are in and around Chennai, do think about visiting. And look at this. Gukesh was in good spirits. He also lifted the young boy. And beautiful scenes from Chennai. I hope you enjoyed this game. This is Sagar Shah signing off. Bye bye.